that the high-speed rail service will be up and running, they believe, not until after the weekend on Monday. And of course, it also impacts other rail service in this country because people now will be looking for alternative routes. The rail service is all interconnected. Even the Eurostar, which comes from the UK, comes under the English Channel, that is reducing service by 25%. So a massive outage, 300,000 people affected today, 800,000, according to authorities, going to be affected over the weekend. They haven't named any specific suspects or any group. There has been no claim of responsibility, but U.S. officials, or one U.S. official is telling NBC News, French officials are telling Reuters, French media are all saying that far-left groups were responsible, either environmentalists or radical anarchists. They're not describing it as an act of terrorism. Nobody was killed, no one was injured, and no plans to disrupt the games.
And so, Richard, these were essentially arson, in other words, fires on the rails. Do we know what that coordinated attack included?
So these were fires on the switchers, fires on the communication system, particularly the fiber optic lines in these 3 different locations. Not the central command right in the center of Paris, but switching stations, communications hubs. They're being described as fiber optic hubs to the north, to the east, to the west, and they tried to hit one to the southeast, but that was thwarted. But still disruptive arson attacks that took the system offline temporarily. And now they're investigating, they're working to put it back online. And I will say, so far, people have been quite calm. People have been remarkably resilient about all of this. There have been quite a few disturbances in Paris over the last several years, whether they are violent protests or strikes carried out by farmers, activists. So this is something, unfortunately, that Parisians have come to accept. And now, because of the Olympics, they think that they might have they anticipated a bit more of this.
Richard Engel in Paris, thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate it. Back here at home, we are following a major endorsement in the 2024 presidential race. Former President Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama announced they are endorsing Vice President Harris.
We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and to do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office.
Oh my goodness. Michelle, Barack, this means so much to me. I'm looking forward to doing this with the two of you, Doug and I both, and getting out there, being on the road.
With us now, NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist. Aaron, good morning. We're also getting new details about Vice President Harris's search for a running mate.
Jose, good morning. Yeah, that's really been the big question now. Who will be Vice President Harris's partner in trying to seek the White House over the next several months here? And we just today, for the first time, got a real public acknowledgement from the Harris campaign that it has begun the process of trying to answer that question. We can show you the statement we received from the Harris campaign a little bit earlier today, saying that Vice President Harris has directed her team to begin the process of vetting potential running mates. That process has begun in earnest. We don't expect to have additional updates until the vice president announces who will be serving as her running mate and as the next vice president of the United States. There has been a short list that we've been able to report on over the last several days of governors and other office holders, senators who we believe are being considered for that position. Some of them have received requests for vetting materials. And at this point, obviously, we don't know who exactly the choice will be, but the list that you see on your screen has sort of been growing and shrinking, and there are some top contenders from sources that we've been able to speak to in this list here. And so when the answer comes out, we expect to get that final answer on the vice president's choice, Jose, before August 7th, which is when the DNC has said they will hold this nominating roll call, virtual roll call, to officially nominate a person for the Democratic Party's nominee, to make that nominee official for the Democratic Party. We also are tracking the vice president's efforts in terms of making sure a debate happens. This is something that we knew former President Trump had agreed to do with President Biden when he was running. They had the one debate, obviously, a couple of weeks ago, and that has sort of was the moment that turned this election cycle on its ear. The vice president spoke about debating Donald Trump just yesterday as she was arriving back here in D.C. I want you to hear what she had to say.
I'm ready to debate Donald Trump. I have agreed to the previously agreed upon September 10th debate. He agreed to that previously. Now it appears he's backpedaling, but I'm ready. And I think the voters deserve to see the split screen that exists in this race on a debate stage. And so I'm ready. Let's go.
And in the overnight hours, Jose, the vice president tweeted, "What happened to any time, any place," referencing remarks from the former president several months ago when he wanted to debate President Biden. And so we'll be waiting to see when exactly the Trump campaign officially steps up again and agrees to debate Vice President Harris. Jose?
Aaron Gilchrist in Washington, thank you very much. And with us now to continue our conversation is South Carolina Democratic Congressman Jim Clyburn. Congressman, it's always a pleasure to see you. I thank you for being with us this morning. Well, tell me what you think.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, sir. The Obamas' recognition and throwing their support behind Vice President Harris, how significant is that?
It's very significant. There's no question about that. Barack Obama and Michelle have been great partners. They spent 8 years making this country a better place for all of us. He's a very skilled politician, a great orator. Having him out in the hustings on behalf of this ticket will prove very, very beneficial. I spoke with the former president several times during the past week, and I happen to know that he is very much in to this ticket, and he is going to be very, very helpful going forward.
And Congressman, thank you for telling us about those conversations that you had with the former president. Is the Harris ticket a fait accompli? Is Harris, the vice president, already, as far as you're concerned, essentially the person that's going to be representing the Democrats for this election?
Oh, absolutely. The process is wide open. Anybody who gathers 300 signatures from the delegates can have his or her name placed into nomination. But I think I know this process well enough, and I know what has happened. And I think that the vice president has well beyond the numbers required to secure the nomination on the first ballot. So I think we'll go into Chicago knowing exactly who our nominee will be, what the team will be, because she will get nominated sometimes before August 7th. We don't have the convention until August 19th.
Yeah. Congressman, any thoughts or suggestions on who she could or should be picking as her VP candidate?
Well, you know, I've seen all the names you have had up today. They're great people. I know all of them, some a little better than others. I see Walt's name is being mentioned a lot. Governor Waltz of Minnesota has been a great buddy. We served together in the House of Representatives. I went out to campaign with him several times when he was running for Congress before the people got to know him very well. He's become a big-time governor now, so he doesn't need my help anymore. But then Roy Cooper from North Carolina, Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, Pete Buttigieg I've been working very closely with Pete Buttigieg. He's been a fantastic Secretary of Transportation. He will make an outstanding VP. But, you know, Roy Cooper is from North Carolina. I'm from South Carolina. We have worked together a whole lot. I know him about as well as I know any of the others. But these guys are good. She's got a deep bench from which to pick. I think they'll do the vetting. They'll look for what needs to be done in order to balance out the ticket, to energize or keep the energy going. And she'll pick one that will help with that.
And Congressman, in his Oval Office speech the other night, the president talked about passing the torch, but didn't detail why he decided to leave the race after he had insisted for so long that he was going to stay in. Why do you think he decided to make this change?
For exactly the reasons he said, putting the country above his own personal ambitions. Joe Biden has been a great president. I used to tease him a lot about not having Harry Truman more, let's say, pronounced in his office. He had a little bust of Truman there in the Oval Office. But I thought that his candidacy for the presidency over the years, his success as president, made him more Truman-like than any of the other people. He has been a productive president. He brought this country back from the brink. He has made the greatness of this country more accessible and more affordable for its citizens. And he has provided a tremendous platform that I believe Kamala Harris will be able to run on. And she is going to be successful on that platform. And so Joe Biden can consider himself with a very special place in this nation's history. He served for 8 years as vice president to the first African-American president. He picked as his running mate the first woman to be vice president of the United States. And he has handed the torch to a woman who could very well be the first woman president of the United States. That puts him right at the juncture of significant historical events. I think he'd be the proudest man in America if he were to be able to see himself succeeded by the first woman president of the United States of America. That puts him in a special place in history. That ought to make him a very proud guy, and I want to help make that so.
Congressman Jim Clyburn, I'm always grateful for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Up next, the Sinaloa drug cartel, one of the most powerful and bloody cartels in the world. We've got new details about how 2 of its alleged kingpins were arrested here in the United States. And a California man under arrest suspected of sparking the state's largest wildfire this year. What a witness says she saw him do. We're back in 90 seconds. You're watching Jose Díaz-Balart Reports on MSNBC.